welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Jerry and J. Rob cover it all today.
The Jerry and J. Rob Show.
So we had a great weekend this weekend, right?
Absolutely.
What all we do?
Got the old cars out.
Yep.
Well, mine's an old car. Yours is not an old car, but it's a cool car.
It is, but it's already it is 10 years old.
Is it really?
It's 10 years old already.
But
so
yeah.
I'll insert some video of this.
In a 2013 Dodge Viper J-Rob. Look at
Yeah, so we went to the Burnett Blue Bonnet Festival
Right.
here in Burnett, Texas. And Jerry was good enough to get us into the parade. And in the parade, we were kind of towards the last, but it was a lot of fun, right? I mean, we had well, it took forever to get through it. I mean, it was a long, slow parade.
Yeah,
but,
it was slower this year than it usually.
Yeah.
I mean, the progression of the parade was slower than they usually do it. But I like it because you get to see things from a different angle. You know,
Right.
if you're standing down there watching the parade go by, then you get to see all the cars and fire trucks and representatives and things like that. But
Right.
if you're in the parade,
Right,
you get to see everybody that's watching you as you go by.
right.
So it's fun to see a lot of the kids that point and go, "Oh wow, look at that!" You know, and
Right.
they want you to rev your engine, honk your horn, and that's all fun stuff to do.
It was fun. The part that I liked most about it, well, first off, we just came out of COVID, right?
Right.
So this was the first time that we had a bunch of stuff going on, and there was people everywhere, absolutely everywhere.
Right.
Right. Like even the parade route, I was a little concerned because in part of that parade route, when I've been at other parades, like there's a barrier, there's some stuff in the way, to keep you from there. Right? We had people right up on the cars, especially at the end.
Yeah, right there at the end, we had people, walking in front of us as we're trying
Right.
to go. So,
Right.
you had to be real diligent.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But nonetheless, we had a good time. We had good weather. We had a
Right.
little rain, but other than that, it was a good, dry, sunny day, and temperature was great. They've had lots of festivities going on down there and things of that nature. So, had a good time out there with some other folks that were running for office, and they came out and introduced themselves. So. That was good, and then just having some good time socializing with everybody.
Yeah, it's always a good opportunity. I've found that when you have things like this in the community and you get down there amongst it, you are able to see people that you don't normally see, maybe people you haven't seen in a long time. You get to make new contacts with
Right.
people, and we did some of that.
We did quite a bit of that, actually.
And so that's always good to be able to reach out and get out there in the community, talk to people, introduce them to Jesus if you have an opportunity, but certainly encourage folks,
Right.
which is a great need.
Right.
And that's why we're doing this show, right?
Right, absolutely. It's a positive environment. It's a place to hopefully receive a little inspiration and push to get you through your week, and that's what we're here to do. So, with that said, today I think we're gonna drink some coffee. My cup's leaking, I think.
Uh-oh.
But we're gonna drink some coffee, inspired by Jerry. He made the coffee today. We have some coffee forthcoming, and I've already lectured our sponsor coffee that they need to get on the ball because they're behind. So
nice.
that should be here next week, and we'll talk about that then. But that kind of sets a platform for what our partial topic is today, which is small thinking. So when you hear somebody say small thinking versus big thinking, what comes to mind?
Well, just really to me, when I hear the term small thinking, it speaks to me of setting limitations on yourself that don't need to necessarily be set. So as you know, in life we think about doing things, going places, learning something new, doing those things. But oftentimes we set limitations on ourselves by making excuses or just deciding that it's too far out of our comfort zone, so we don't want to step out to do that. Or maybe we lack the encouragement, whatever the case may be, but really just limiting yourself
Right.
from doing greater, being greater, and having the things that we do. So there's things that we all desire to have, things we all desire to do, and really the only the only people that are stopping us are ourselves in most cases.
Right, right. Well, you brought up a couple of good points. So the first one was excuses. Like, I'm at that point in life now where there is almost zero excuse that works for me. And if you want to have excuses, that's fine. If there's something you don't want to do, that's fine. Just come out and say it. We don't have to blame it on our dog or our kids or
Right.
anything else. It's truly, I think, a priority. If you want to make it a priority, you'll make it happen.
Sure.
And people say, well, I had this happen, I had this happen. Well, that may be true, but what I find is people consistently have things happen, and then they don't show up ever for whatever
Right.
it is, for whatever the problem is. So for me, that's a big part of it right there. Is the excuses or the novelty of I can just say whatever to flake out on a situation that I don't want to be accountable for, right?
Right. And a lot of times, it may be a legitimate like excuse. You may
Right.
have a legitimate concern, or at least, something that most people would look at and go, hey, we understand why you can't do this because,
Right.
but I've found this to be true. We tend to do what we really want to do.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you want it, you'll do it.
That's-
You'll figure out a way to get it done.
100%. Absolutely. You'll make it happen.
Yeah,
It may take longer.
absolutely.
It may be troubled. It may be obstacle ridden,
But you got to find a workaround.
absolutely. So, excuses. You covered limiting thoughts, limiting yourself and abilities, saying something along the lines of "I can't do that," or "I don't have time." That's my favorite one. I don't have time.
I don't have time.
I can't do that. I don't make enough money to do X, Y, Z. My family doesn't want to do that. I don't think I can be that, out of the box thinking. And the truth of the matter is, almost every one of us can. And I would say everyone, but there are special circumstances.
Right.
But almost every one of us can get out of our box of comfort and do something completely radical that we're normally being accustomed to. I mean, I'm not saying get crazy out there. I'm just saying you can get out and do something that's not comfortable for you. Us doing this talk right now, this is not extremely comfortable for either one of us, right?
No, and I made that comment after the show last week,
Right,
because
right.
you were playing it back, and man, I just cringe when I have
Right.
to watch myself or listen to myself. I don't like the sound of my own voice.
Right.
I don't like to look at myself, and so I'm my own worst critic.
Right.
And
That's absolutely true, by the way.
if I allow myself to stay there, then we wouldn't be doing this show.
Absolutely.
If I allowed myself to stay in that comfortable position, then I couldn't be a pastor to the fullest potential that God has given to me
Right,
to
right.
be.
Right.
And so I don't want to limit myself. Peter was in a boat. They were in the midst of the sea, and there was a storm that came up, and Jesus came to them walking on the water. And Peter was the first one to say, Lord, if it be you, bid me come to thee on the water.
Right.
He stepped out of the boat. That was out of his comfort zone.
Absolutely.
He'd been a fisherman his whole life. He knew, listen, if I step out of this boat, I'm done.
Absolutely.
I'm going to drown.
A little bit one step past that comfort zone. I think.
Right. But he had to take the faith and the initiative to say, it's worth it. The objective is worth it.
Correct.
And when you have an objective that's worth it, you'll find a way to get it done.
Absolutely. There's always a way to get it done. There's always a way to make it happen. There are certain things that become an obstacle. There are certain things that are problematic in life, but there's always a way to make things happen. Somebody that's going to watch this is sitting back and say, well, no, I can't because of this, or I can't because of that. But I assure you, there's a way to get around it. There's, we have motivational speakers out there that are missing all their limbs. We have people accomplishing world records that have a deficiency in some sort. There's always a way to make progress in those situations or the goals you have in life. So when I think about small thinking, it's not just the limiting thoughts of the beholder, but sometimes the limiting thoughts of those around them, maybe friends
right,
and family, which is a
right.
major problem sometimes.
And which is what we touched on, last time, talking about those associations
Right.
that we have, those influences. You hang around 5 millionaires, you'll be the sixth. You hang around 5 drug dealers, you'll be the sixth.
Right.
It's all about your associations. So you want to make sure that you have people in your life that are going to encourage you when you begin to step out, when you begin to open up your mindset to new things, new ideas, new processes, whatever the case may be in growing. Growth is not always comfortable,
Right.
but it's always necessary. If you're not growing, you're dying.
That's right.
And so you got to have people around you that are going to push you, strengthen you, encourage you, be there for you, lift you up. Also to tell you, when you're getting too far out of line, maybe
Right.
you're doing something that you shouldn't be, and they're there to help you and direct you in that way too.
That's true. That's true. So in some of those situations with, you mentioned family and friends, excuse me, that, and I think you could even combine that with society. What are the norms? Are those norms actually something that's going to help you, or is that something that's holding you back?
Oh, right.
And I would say, at this day and age, that a lot of times it's something that's holding you back.
Sure.
You don't need the approval of society. You don't need to go through what society tells you to do to be successful. To be successful, you can go off and do things totally different and be just as blessed
Right.
for those things.
Well, there's always going to be critics. There's always going to be naysayers.
Right.
There's always going to be somebody who's ready to throw a wet blanket on your fire.
Absolutely.
And you've got to just understand that those things are always going to be there. But at the end of the day, when it's just you, that's what you got.
That's right.
Those people don't pay your bills. Those people don't live in your body. Those people don't tuck your spouse into bed at night or take care of your kids. I mean, it's all about you and making sure that you are as successful as you can be in the way that you want to be.
Right. Right. No, I think you hit it on the head. That I've heard that before, and that's something that's super important. Is nobody pays your bills. Nobody has to do what you're doing to account for your survivability. So what you're doing and the goals you're working on are important, not just for a future place that you're trying to get to, but before your well-being in the current time, in the present time. And those people that are speaking out against you, unless they're just being hateful, it's because they found an inefficiency in themselves, or they are fearful themselves, or they're fear of being left out because you're leaving them behind,
Right.
because you're doing something that's going to the next level, which brings us back to the thinking again. That small thinking, that staying in your drama triangles and staying in a place of malice where it's not anything that's going to help you grow, help
Toxic.
develop you, just
Yeah.
toxic, and that's not good for anybody. I encourage people to do something that's going to help others. I think helping others is the absolute best way to get out of your own funk. It's the absolute best way to do something that is productive, and that could be life-changing long-term.
Sure.
Not just a short-term deal. And if I can get people to think about that, then I've done my job. So that's what I really try to push, try to adhere to, try to follow the same rules. We do a lot of philanthropy stuff, and I'm all about it. I think it's great.
So you asked me about small thinking.
Right.
Now let me ask you about big thinking.
Big thinking.
Yeah,
Okay?
big thinking.
All right.
So how can a person make that shift in their mindset? Maybe give us a few pointers or ideas how we can overcome that small
Right.
mindset, that small thinking, and move toward growth and maturity and accomplishing goals and hit that big mindset.
Right. So I have these distinguishing factors about small and big thinking and where I am now, where I was at one point a few years ago. I was in a very how would I say that? It was an introvert stage, but it was very socialized. I didn't want to hang out with anybody. I didn't
Sure.
want to do anything with anybody. I just went to work, did my job. If I worked overtime, then bonus for me because I worked extra, and you just stay in the same cycle. You go to work, you come home, you go to work, you come
Right.
home. And that, while it was accomplishing maybe a retirement and doing a good for who I was working for, it was not something that was really productive in the big scheme of things. So to answer your question about big thinking stuff and how to do that, well, first off, you got to dream a little bit.
Right.
You got to open your mind to the possibilities of what's out there and what's available. And if it's not available, making it available. So goals. I think that's where I would say
Yeah.
start. You got to have some goals, some big goals. You need to have some small ones as well, because you've got to see some achievement along the way. But I'm talking
help
about
give you some
setting,
drive, yeah.
absolutely. You've got to set some massive goals, some crazy kind of goals, and if they're not written down, they will never be realized. So you got to write those goals down. You got to have them available, sticking them on your mirror, sticking them on your door, put them wherever you're going to see them, because you got to constantly remind yourself. I mean, we've got fickle minds. We'll just, at the first chance of adversity, we'll just fall off the wagon and die and say it's not our fault. It's somebody else's fault.
Yeah.
And here comes our
Here
excuses.
come our excuses,
There
yeah.
you go. So, excuse me. You've got to have those goals written down. You need to carefully think about those goals. I know for me, I have a ton of drive. I got a ton of drive. That's not something I lack in. I wake up at night, 2 a.m., and I'm up for hours thinking about stuff I want to do and how I'm going to do it and putting it together and things of that nature. That's not the problem. It's where a lot of people fail, and where I failed in the past. It's getting lazy with stuff. It's getting not work lazy, but mentally lazy, not focusing, not moving towards the goals and doing action steps to get me there, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm just there, I have big goals, I wrote them down, but if I do nothing with it, and I don't take the actual steps, which is another part of the formula, you got to just dissect it down and come up with the steps to make it happen.
Right.
If you're not doing those steps, you're still not going to realize the goal, and you're still not going to make any progress. So all that to say this, you got to dream. You got to have goals. You got to take the actions to get there. You got to be consistent with it. And then you've got to surround yourself with people that will hold you accountable, people that will help you get to those goals. I've got a ton of people that I have no business with whatsoever as far as needing them to be a client of mine or anything like that, that I'm trying to push, that I'm
Sure.
trying to help them for their
Right.
benefit, not mine. And by doing that, it helps me. If I'm willing to push them, they're willing to push me, and together we grow and we make a difference.
Well, just to give our listeners an example of what you just said, over the last couple of years, you have personally really helped me to open up my mind to new possibilities and to do things that I probably would never have even considered could be done, just because, that's not the way my family has done it. That's
Right.
not the way I've ever seen it done. I didn't even think it was possible for me. But having you to encourage me and point me in the right direction has really been a blessing. And sometimes you need obviously you need those people to help you do that. And I want to let anybody that's listening to this know that Jerry and J. Rob, we're your biggest supporters. We are here to root you on, help you in any way we can. We're praying for you. So you don't even know me. I don't have to know you to pray for you.
That's right.
And I don't have to know you to love you and wish you well and hope
That's
that
right.
you accomplish some big things
Absolutely.
and find some joy in this life, because our days are numbered. We don't know what that number is.
That's right.
So we got to take what we get and enjoy it.
And do the best we can with it, right?
Absolutely.
Well, I appreciate that. That means a lot to me, and I certainly don't believe in coincidence. I don't think it's any coincidence we ended up in this town and running into you and your family, and you guys have been a great blessing to us as well, and a great support. So, yeah, that's it, 100%. So, if I can encourage you guys to do anything, that is to open your minds up. Don't do what you've always done. Even if you're successful, you can't always do what you've always done and expect to get to the next level. Take advantage of those around you that want to help you. Take advantage of people that have been there and done that, and ask the questions. And if there's anything we can do, there is a email that's going to be attached to this video, and you can send us an email. We'll respond back. And that's I think that's it for today, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, you guys have a great week, and we'll do it again next week.
Sounds good.
All right.
Bye.